The man appointed to form an interim government in Bangladesh, Nobel laureate Muhammad Yunus, is expected to be sworn in on Thursday. Families of those who lost loved ones in the mass protests that toppled Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina are renewing their calls for justice. More than 300 people were killed during the police crackdown on anti-government demonstrations. Tanvir Chowdhury reports from Dhaka.
In an unprecedented event in Bangladesh, student protesters led a revolution and toppled an authoritarian government. It came at a cost, though. Hundreds were killed. And now people want justice and accountability. Babul Sardar's son, Jisan Ahmed, was selling water during one of the demonstrations when police opened fire, killing the 25-year-old. A week later, the young man's wife killed herself.
I want justice for the murder of my son and also for those students and other innocent people who were killed. I want an investigation by the United Nations who will provide justice because our judicial system has failed us.
In recent days, there has been widespread vandalism and looting of homes and businesses belonging to the leaders of the former governing parties. Rights groups are also concerned by reports of attack targeting Hindus. Traditionally, the minority community supports the Awami League Sheikh Hasina's party. Student volunteers are working with the military to restore law and order. Many Bangladeshis say they hope this will be an era of political stability. Worried about their safety, many police officers are staying home.
Because there are no traffic police officers, we're helping as volunteers to manage the traffic on the road. So there are no bottlenecks and people respect the rules on the road.
On Wednesday, in her first public speech since 2018, Khaleda Zia, a former Prime Minister and chairperson of the opposition Bangladesh Nationalist Party, addressed a rally in Dhaka via video link. Zia called for peace instead of revenge in order to rebuild the country.
For the students who gave up on their dreams by getting involved in bloodshed, we will fulfill those dreams. Students have shown great intellect, courage and bravery while fighting, which will help us in making Bangladesh a republic.
Nobel laureate Muhammad Yunus will lead the interim government. He has urged Bangladeshis to get ready to build the country. But the country has a way to go, and his interim government will likely face many challenges in the coming weeks and months. Tanvir Chowdhury, Al Jazeera, Dhaka.
Tanvir is with us live. So Tanvir, we know that Muhammad Yunus will lead the interim government. At this stage, we don't know that much more, though. Like who's going to be in the government, their priorities, will they organize elections, when? Can you fill in any of these blanks?
Well, we do know that he will be sworn in today by local time, 8 p.m. He's supposed to land in Dhaka around 2 p.m. local time, which is 8 GMT. And he's supposed to be sworn in by 14 GMT, so at the presidential house. The students have submitted at least 12 to 15 names to the council, which is basically the head of defense forces, the president, and there were a few professors there. This has to be vetted with the opposition, civil society people. Once they're accepted, there's no controversial figure. Maybe it has already been decided who are those people, because nobody wants any controversial figure. That will be the cabinet, or they're known as advisor, who will be in the interim government. Normally it's between 12 to 15, the number of advisors. We'll have to see by tonight if that's already been vetted and accepted. If not, they'll probably negotiate that out sometime. What's very concerning is the law and order is, because of the vacuum, is collapsing a little bit, and the military is trying its best to restore order. So people do want this to go ahead as fast as possible.
Okay, you mentioned the opposition and how the names of the people who are going to be in the cabinet need to be cleared with opposition parties. We know these traditional parties, which were sidelined by Sheikh Hasina, are trying to get back in the game. How do people feel about that?
Well, the main opposition party, Bangladesh Nationalist Party, which is headed by former Prime Minister Khaleda Zia. She's been in power for 3 times, and her son Tariq Zia is the acting chairman. So they had a massive rally in the capital yesterday. People do have a lot of support for that party, It does bring in a crowd, but they've been on the back foot because of heavy crackdown, at least for a decade, by the ruling party Awami League. Thousands of opposition members were behind the bar. Many have been abducted, even tortured. And then there's the right-wing religious party, Jamaat-e-Islami, which was banned just a little over 2 weeks ago by then ruling party. Their registration was cancelled some time back, so they can't compete in the election. But those situations will change. The ban is already withdrawn, and then the registration will be withdrawn because people don't want all kind of participation in a free and fair election. So there'll be a lot of debates and meetings and understanding between this, and the interim government has to fulfill its obligation, because once the parliament is dissolved, within 90 days, there has to be an election. It can be stretched within an understanding with the cabinet and the other civil society, but that would be the clear blueprint, is to go for the election. That's the utmost thing, and also to get discipline and law and order back in the country.
Okay, Tanvir Chowdhury reporting live from the Bangladeshi capital, Dhaka. Thank you very much, Tanvir. So who is Muhammad Yunus, the man who will lead this interim government in Bangladesh? He's born in 1940. He's seen as one of the country's most distinguished economists. The administration of ousted Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina viewed him as a major political threat. Yunus rose to international prominence in 2006 when he formed Grameen Bank, which provided small loans to poor people. He won the Nobel Peace Prize for that work. A year later, Yunus formed a political party, and Hasina's administration launched a series of investigations into him. In 2011, he was fired as the bank's managing director for allegedly violating government regulations on retirement. Later, he faced more charges involving other companies that he had founded. In January, he was sentenced to 6 months in jail for violating a labor law. Shahariar Sadat is Deputy Executive Director of the Center for Peace and Justice at BRAC University. You're joining us live from Dhaka. It's good to talk to you. So Muhammad Yunus undoubtedly is very popular in Bangladesh, as we explained, for his work fighting poverty. But he's 80 plus years old. He's never run a country, much less one in this deep of a crisis. Does any of that give you pause?
I think Dr. Yunus is coming to become the new head of the interim government with a lot of expectation. And that is going to be the biggest challenge for him, that how to manage the expectation from people, especially from the new generation, the students. I think the biggest threat for him is how to unite the country after such big uprising, and also putting the economy back, having confidence of the investors, and also getting the law and order back. These are the things that bigger challenges. But as Dr. Yunus has the acceptance by the people, and we are hoping, as you have mentioned, that we do not know the name of the other advisors, but we are hoping that once the interim government takes over, the things will be back to normal.
Do you want to see elections as soon as possible? Or would you like Yunus and this new incoming team to have a longer runway, a longer period of time to govern Bangladesh?
I think at this point, the country needs reform, a real reform of culture in politics, real reform and rebuilding, not retribution. And that is the process that needs to be done. And democracy will have to be upheld with the law and order and rule of law. So these are the priorities, and we do not know how long this will take. But democracy will have to be at the forefront of our nation building.
But my question was, would you like to see Yunus as essentially the next leader of Bangladesh, or just as the transition person who gets the country to elections, where Bangladeshis can then choose the next leader?
Well, the right to choose the leadership should be left to the people. It should not be superimposed on the people. That's the point. It's not what I like or somebody else likes. It's what the people wants. That should be the priority for this country. and people had not been able to, choose their leaders properly historically. So this is the chance to get things on the track and give people their right to choose their leadership.
The army chief has promised that this is going to be a, quote, beautiful democratic process led by Muhammad Yunus. Do you trust that the army will not interfere excessively and will not try to take power in the end?
Well, so far the army has not done anything excessively. I think what they have done is sensible. They tried to restore the law and order, and they remained part of the process, and that's the best part we have seen. And the way things are going, I do not think that they are going to intervene unless some other X factors comes in.
Okay, Shahariar Sadat, Deputy Executive Director of the Center for Peace and Justice at BRAC University. Thank you very much.
Make sure to subscribe to our channel to get the latest news from Al Jazeera.